America's coolest conservative and the future king of talk radio. 107.9 FM WBT presents The TJ Ritchie Show.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, you better keep that volume cranked. There's a bunch of stuff going on. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Ooh. I mean, spent the whole day working on this show. Usually I give you maybe 15 minutes right before it starts. That's the kind of preparation I put into it normally. But today, I got several hours. Because, you know, I need to start looking at every show as an audition. You know what I'm saying? Every show is an audition. 704-570-1079. That's the phone number. Audition for what? Well, I'm guessing audition for probably somebody to hire me as the I don't know, biggest talk show host in the world. That's what. 704-570-1079. Call it, text it. Thanks to Liberty Buick GMC. All right, the president, Sir President Trump, says that Iran is close to a deal. But you know, I don't slam on President Trump or anything. You know, I don't believe in doing that when everything is such a tedious situation where we could lose our freedom at any time to the communist Democrats. But he says that they've agreed they will never have a nuclear weapon. They've agreed to that. That's what he said. No nukes. Now, that's what he's always said he wanted, that Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. Okay. He said, quote, "We're actually talking to the right people and they want to make a deal so badly. You have no idea how badly they want to make a deal. They're talking to us and they're talking sense." Okay. Well, I thought now that the goal was complete and total surrender. Is that what he meant? Complete and total surrender, in that they say we'll never, ever have a nuclear weapon? And he's saying, we want the nuclear dust. We're going to want that. Okay. But again, I'm past believing in any type of deal with these Islamists. And I don't care what country they're from. Iran, Iraq, wherever. You can't make a deal and believe these radical Islamists. And the only reason I say that is because they lie. So I'm more of a fan of just leveling all of it, and then we take the oil, and then we put somebody in place that we like to run it, to run the country. The people of Iran would be thrilled. We'd get a bunch of oil. You know, between that oil and Venezuela's oil, I mean, we'd be lubricated forever. Nothing in the U.S. America would ever squeak. You know what I'm saying? But I just don't like the words "make a deal with Iran." I like the words "obliterate everybody who's anybody in Iran," and then see what we can do after that. I don't want to have to go back over there in a few years and mess with these people again. That's the thing. That's what in all seriousness, that's what I want. We're tired of having to go to these people and for them to have any power in a negotiation with us at all. We're there. We're supposedly destroying everything of importance that they have. Then why would we make any kind of deal with them? Unless the deal is, okay, the deal is that you're going to do exactly what we say, or you're going to be dead. Maybe that's the deal he's talking about. I don't know the ins and outs of the deal. I was not here today when he called me to discuss it with me. I was at the cigar shop when he called. See, I have two phones. I have a regular cell phone that's for normal day-to-day life, and then I have a Trump phone. And a Trump phone is not like the old Obama phones used to be, where the government handed out cell phones and Obama pretended like it was from him, like he paid for them. My Trump phone is just designated to President Trump. It's the only calls I can receive on it come from him. And I left that at home today. So I didn't get a call before he went out and made the statement. So I don't know as much of the story, many of the details as I should. I know that this story says that the Pentagon is expected to announce the deployment of a 3,000 person brigade combat team from the elite North Carolina based unit, the 82nd Airborne, which again, I didn't get the call about that either, because I'm an honorary member of the 82nd Airborne, but I'm not allowed to tell people that. So, shh. I mean, if you saw me, you could tell. I'm part of an elite fighting force. No doubt about that, man. No doubt about that. So we'll see. And this could all just be a smokescreen that President Trump is putting up. Like, oh, they want to make a deal. They're dying to make a deal. No nuclear weapons ever. We want the dust. They don't, not even going to have a speck of nuclear dust. And, they could be sitting over there going, we haven't even talked to him. Next thing you know, boom. So that could be the case. So that's why I'm not going to come start railing on him or anything, because you never know. You never know. And I made up something, a phrase a long time ago, and I'm going to allow you to use it. I'll tell you now. War is hell. And feel free to use that as much as you want. And you don't even have to give me credit for it. But yeah, war is hell. So more hell may be about to rain down on these psychos in Iran. But still, I want the oil. Give me the oil. Give us all the oil. I got doors squeaking in my house right now. They need some of that fresh, out of the ground, Iran WD-40. So just take it, pass it out. Okay. There's a man named Ronnie Taylor. You probably and most likely have never heard of Ronnie Taylor, but I'm going to tell you something. Ronnie Taylor, in my opinion, is one of the stupidest people on the face of the earth. He would have to be, because of something that he has done and why he's in the news. One of the stupidest people God has ever strung a gut through. I'll tell you why, coming up next.
The TJ Ritchie Show is on. More next on Charlotte's FM News Talk 107.9 WPT. He is Charlotte's most charmed and dangerous. Always speaking the truth, whether you like it or not. It's TJ Ritchie on Charlotte's FM News Talk 107.9 FM WPT.
Unapologetic in your face conservatism. That's what this is. I am the most famous and legendary active radio personality in Charlotte. 704-570-1079. I guess I need to punch up the website with the text messages that come in if I'm going to read them. Duh. Let me pull that up on the, as the kids say, on the .com. Okay, why is Ronnie Taylor one of the stupidest people on the face of the earth. Well, Ronnie Taylor's not a famous person. Well, maybe he is now. But he lives in a suburb of Nashville. And Ronnie Taylor is by no means an intimidating figure. He's just a regular guy. Wears glasses, tucks his logoed T-shirt into his jeans. But this idiot decided Sunday that it was a good idea for him to pick a fight with a celebrity named Alan Ritchie. Now, maybe you don't know Alan Ritchie, but I'm going to tell you who Alan Ritchie is. Alan Ritchie is the guy that plays Reacher on the TV series Reacher. Alan Ritchie, although he's a stinking liberal and an idiot himself for being such a stinking liberal, is not somebody that you would want to pick a fight with. Now, I know he's a celebrity, he's an actor, and he plays the part of tough guys. I would say that if you're talking about somebody like Robert De Niro, okay? I don't really think Robert De Niro is the badass that everybody makes him out to be. He can probably box because he had to train for Raging Bull and all that, but still, he's little. I really think I could take Robert De Niro pretty easily. Alan Ritchie, on the other hand, is 6 feet 3 inches tall, weighs 240 pounds, and is one of the most perfectly bulked, chiseled specimens of a man that you would ever see. He's not overly built like a bodybuilder. He's built more like a professional wrestler would be. He's got a better body than The Rock. And he's 6'3". His chest is 45 inches. And he wears a size 13 shoe. This is a big, strong man. So the way the story goes is that he's riding his motorcycle with his 2 teenage sons or middle school age sons. They look like early teens in his neighborhood. Well, Ronnie Taylor is his neighbor. Ronnie Taylor thinks that Alan Ritchie and his boys are riding those motorcycles too fast through the neighborhood and that they're being reckless. So what does he do? According to the story, he steps out in front of Alan Ritchie's motorcycle as it is driving by. He just steps out in front of it. Well, that caused Reacher to lay down his bike. That's what we call it if you're a motorcycle rider, which I am, except I'm a Harley person. He laid it down because he had this idiot just step out in front of him. So he starts yelling at the guy. They go at it with each other. The guy's telling him, "You're being dangerous. You're reckless. You're blah, blah, blah." And Reacher's saying, "Are you out of your mind? You are crazy," whatever. And the guy jumps in front and shoves Reacher's motorcycle and then shoves Reacher. And then Reacher commences to beat the crap out of this guy in somebody's front yard. I don't think it's Reacher's front yard, and I don't think it's Ronnie Taylor's front yard. I think it's the yard across the street from where Ronnie Taylor lives. And obviously, Reacher destroys him in a fight. What are you thinking? Lonnie Ray,
Yes, sir.
Do you know this guy? This guy that plays Reacher. Have you seen him?
No.
Google him real quick and tell me if you're just a regular old guy in the suburbs, probably in your late 50s, early 60s, if you're going to step out and pick a fight with this guy.
Travis just pulled him up. No, absolutely not.
Hell no. He is massive.
Yeah.
And he's an action star, so he knows at least, maybe he can't, hold his own like a MMA fighter would, but he can, he's been trained in hand-to-hand combat. But even at that, he could have never been in a fight in his life. This guy is so huge and so strong. And unless you're a trained fighter, you would be a moron to pick a fight with him.
I was in the Army for a year. Absolutely not.
No, this guy is insane. Now, I don't know. I would have to know the other guy's political views before I can say whether or not I would have been for him to beat up Reacher or not. Because I know Alan Richson, Reacher's political leanings, and he's a full-fledged liberal. So it's not that I'm saying, that I'm such a huge fan of his and I'm glad he beat up a guy. Unless the guy's a liberal too, and then I don't care one way or the other. But first of all, it was stupid and more dangerous for that guy to step out in front of the motorcycle out of nowhere when he's coming down the street. I mean, both of them could have gotten hurt in that maneuver. He could have just run right over him and end up crashing his bike, and both of them end up in the hospital. But there's no way he couldn't. There's no way he doesn't know that that's Reacher that lives in his neighborhood in a suburb of Nashville. He say, oh, there's a celebrity down there. Was it a country singer? No, it's no country singer that I know of. Well, what does he do? Well, I don't know. Is some kind of an action star or something? Let's look him up. Oh, make sure not to mess with that guy. Anybody with any sense would have said that. Now, I can hear, a lot of people who've never heard of this dude jugling him. And you'll see that I am exactly right. That nobody would just jump out and mess with this guy unless you are good at fighting. And obviously the dude wasn't. Now, he's then been on TMZ and everything, got a big old knot on his forehead. There's video of it. I forgot that part of it. There is video because Reacher was wearing a body cam. I guess he's trying to get some good footage of him and his boys out riding their dirt bikes or whatever. So he had, and everybody was automatically talking about it, saying it was his fault. I can't believe he beat up that poor guy. And then Reacher was like, hey, hold on a minute. I got footage of what happened. That guy's lucky that he didn't get beaten within an inch of his life. Because I think the video shows that he was the one that was the aggressor. Which is so stupid. Wow. And the guy's got to be successful or he wouldn't be living in Reacher's neighborhood, right? Doesn't that make sense? The guy's probably successful, but you know what? He's probably used to everybody just doing what he says do because he's the boss at work. So he's like, this guy needs to slow down. Stop. Man, I'm telling you, people are just idiots. And then what, he had to stagger back into his house after Reacher went upside that head. And at one point in the video, like Reacher kicked him while he was down. He said, stay down. He's telling the guy, stay down. I don't want to have to beat you any more than I'm beating you right now. Stay down. Stop coming at me. Whew. So that's something that we're going to keep an eye on. We'll keep an eye on this story, and I want everybody to do your homework, though. Go take the information that I have given you, and look it up. It's all over the New York Post and the TMZs and all of that stuff. The story hit yesterday because the incident happened Sunday. But go get caught up on it, because I'm going to keep updating you as the updates become available, because this is an important story. And again, I'm torn because, Alan Ritchson, the guy that plays Reacher, is full on lib, and I hate to root for them in any way because they're so destructive. But be that as it may, that's the story I'm most interested in today. But I have some less interesting stories that I have to cover tonight, even though I don't want to. I have to. So we'll get to those coming up next.
The realest your radio has ever been. TJ Ritchie is on Charlotte's FM News Talk 107.9 WPT. Hear him on the radio and podcast. Watch him on YouTube. Like and subscribe to all social media platforms at tjritchie.com and WBT.com. Now back to TJ Ritchie on 107.9 FM WBT, Charlotte's FM News Talk.
Ramming, jamming, on the air, everywhere. I am that big old chunk of sweet white chocolate. And got some people weighing in here. 704-570-1079 is the phone number. Jeannie said, TJ, I'm driving home from Zumba, and I am laughing my face off. The guy is an idiot to try to even point at Reacher. Let me tell you something. I watch Reacher. The acting is not top notch. I'll tell you that. It's not top notch, but it's a good show, and there's a lot of whipping going on the show. He plays a former military special forces MP kind of guy, detective in the military, and he's just a badass. That's all he is. And there's a lot of whooping going on. It's a good show. And he's one of those guys that you wouldn't refer to him as his real name. You would refer to him as Reacher all the time. Now, Reacher was actually a Tom Cruise movie that was written from a book series, I believe, of Reacher. But this guy does the TV series, and I think it's on Prime, I think. But I think there have been 2 seasons of, maybe 3, and it's a good little show. But anybody that's seen it, they just call him Reacher. Nobody's going to call him Alan Ritchson. Let's see. TJ, you would be G.I. talks a lot. What? I don't know what that means. But people know if they watch that show that you just would not do like that neighbor of his and step out and pick a fight with him. You just wouldn't do it. All right. So I have only been a news talk show host for almost a year. But I've always been conservative. I've always studied this stuff. I've always led my life through my conservative principles. And I don't have proof of this. You just have to trust me or don't. I get it. But when the January 6th riot happened, I said to my wife, wife, this is not what we do. And by we, I mean the smart people in the country, the conservatives, the Republicans, MAGA, maybe some of MAGA. the MAGA people that didn't really keep up with politics and all that until Trump came along, and then they became part of the right wing, quote unquote. But I said, this is not what Republicans do. This is not what conservatives do. We did not start this. And I said from the very beginning, even though we weren't supposed to say it, we'd go to jail for saying that the insurrection wasn't an insurrection. I worked on a liberal radio station at the time, and not supposed to be talking about politics or anything. And they sent out memos. Don't be saying that this was not an insurrection, and don't say that it was an inside job. Don't say anything against what, the media has deemed to be appropriate. Same, that they did with COVID. And I said, we didn't do this. This is not our people. This is not what we do. This is the kind of crap that Democrats do, or that Democrats instigate. So we've gone all this time. The Democrats have thrown it up, the insurrection, January 6th, the insurrection, and people died. Police officers died. Nobody died at the hands of rioters on January 6th. Police officers died afterward. I know one had a heart attack a couple of days later, and they tried to blame that on the insurrection, quote unquote. But the only person that died during the January 6th riot was a woman named Ashley Babbitt. She was a veteran, and she was shot by Capitol Police climbing through a window unarmed. That's it. So Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, was being interviewed. And now that they've been able to get in there, the good guys have been able to get in there and look at all of the documents and everything. He was asked, was this, what was going on with all of the FBI agents undercover, and what was Nancy Pelosi's role in this? And this is what Kash Patel said.
Republicans, Mr. Director, argue that Nancy Pelosi staged January 6th, and the Select Committee covered it up. Based on what you personally know, what are the verifiable events in the lead-ups? And do you, I know you don't speculate, you just deal with facts.
I'm in a unique position. Remember, I was Chief of Staff for the Department of Defense on January 6th. We were responsible for the deployment of the National Guard. And what I was forced to testify to years ago at great personal cost has now once again, just like Russiagate, been proven true, because all I do is speak the truth. On January, actually in the days before January 6th, we were in the Oval Office where the President Trump at the time, authorized, pursuant to law, up to 10 to 20,000 National Guard. We took that authorization because the law's second part required a request from who? Nancy Pelosi and the Metropolitan Police and the mayor at the time. And what did they say? No. And remember what happened for the next 2 years? They say, oh, Kash is lying, Trump's lying. And what do we find? Letters of their declination of the National Guard, refusing to have the National Guard show up. So all I can speak to is the facts, and the facts are those plus this. Nancy Pelosi and her team were busy filming a movie on January 6th while this so-called chaos around her was going down. If she had, just look at it this way, if she had said yes to the National Guard and we had 10,000 uniformed military officers established a secure perimeter, do you think January 6th would have gone differently?
It is intriguing that 250 FBI plainclothes agents were inside the Capitol on January 6th. I saw the president's tweet to get to the bottom of it. Who placed them there? What were they doing? Were they inciting violence? What can you tell us, Mr. Director?
This is a great example of the president's initiative to solve all the answers on January 6th. And it's another example of our transparency efforts. Pursuant to the president, we investigated the matter and found out why FBI agents were placed there in the first place. And it turns out we found documentation and witnesses and whistleblowers that said we were forced to go there to do riot control. Armstrong, do you know what the FBI does not do ever?
Riot control.
We don't do that. So the prior leadership sent 250 some odd men and women into a situation they're not trained for, put them in harm's way, put the individuals out there in harm's way, and also those individuals have collectively responded or said beforehand that they were forced to go there. They didn't volunteer to do that.
And you believe them?
That's their word, not mine.
I believe them. You know why? Because I believe anybody over a stinking professional Democrat. Almost anybody. Now, why would the Democrats do this? Well, I got to take a break now, and we'll get a little bit deeper into this. And, you know, it seems like every day we come up with, this could possibly be the biggest political scandal of all time. There are so many of those from the Biden administration and the Obama administration. You know why? Because Democrats in politics are rotten. Remember that. I need a T-shirt that says Democrats is rotten, Mama. Democrats is rotten, Mama. That's what it needs to say. All right, so we'll get more into this coming up next. Hang on.
It's the TJ Ritchie Show on 107.9 WPT, Charlotte's FM News Talk. Text everybody in your contacts list and tell them that Ritchie's on. Welcome back to the TJ Ritchie Show on Charlotte's FM News Talk. 107.9 FM WPT.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here tonight, and I appreciate a couple of people have reminded me I've got to correct something. I had forgotten about a lady named Roseanne Boylan. She was also killed by Capitol Police on January 6th, so it wasn't just Ashley Babbitt. So thank you for reminding me of that. So we just played a clip of Kash Patel, and he was saying that they have the evidence, or as the kids say, they've got the receipts. God, I hate that. I hate when people say they brought the receipts when they are just basically saying the evidence. But I brought the receipts. Okay. I hate that. I hate when people say, he said the quiet part out loud. I hate that. And I hate giving somebody their flowers. When you're giving them their due, give them their flowers. You're not supposed to give men flowers. It's kind of feminine. Anyway, that January 6th was caused by Nancy Pelosi and other Democrats. I suspect they've got the receipts that Nancy Pelosi declined all of the National Guard agents, National Guard troops and stuff that Trump said he offered immediately. Capitol Police declined it, and then they found out that all these FBI agents were forced to be there for crowd control, and the FBI doesn't do that. So they knew that the crowd was going to need to be controlled. Now, if they knew the crowd was going to need to be controlled, why didn't they have why didn't they accept the offer of the National Guard being out there? Because they wanted the crowd to be out of control. Now, why would they do that? Okay, so many reasons. One, because Democrats are terrible, terrible people. The professional Democrats, they're just awful, disgusting people. Two, because the Republicans had been successful in pointing the finger of truth at Democrats and their supporters for being rioters, violent, disgusting, horrible people with the Antifa riots and the BLMs and then all of that stuff. And we could clearly say none of that ever happens with right-winged, as they call them, protesters. None of that ever happens with Republicans, or back in the Tea Party days, none of that ever happened. You don't have a case. You don't have a leg to stand on when you accuse Republicans of doing that kind of stuff. All of the violence, all of the burning down of federal buildings and all of the mayhem, that's all on the left. Those are all part of the Democrat Party. So they had to stir up something, and you think about it. How many times since January 6th of 2020 or 2021 have they said the insurrection, the right-wing insurrection, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it wasn't even an insurrection. It was a riot, but they wanted it. And then they had a campaign issue. January 6th, January 6th, January 6th, the hearings. They wanted, the other reason was they wanted Trump to be in prison. Why? Because they didn't want him coming back and being able to defeat them politically again. They wanted Trump to be destroyed and put in prison, as well as his kids and the rest of his family and everything else. Why do you think that they got those nasty judges to sentence those January 6th rioters to so many years in prison and not letting them talk to their attorneys and putting them in these violent parts of the prison when they were being charged with trespassing on federal property? Why do you think they did all of that? They didn't want the truth out. And they knew that if Trump were able to come back and run and win the presidency again, he would uncover it. So the January 6th committee, what did they do? They destroyed their files. They destroyed documents. They destroyed the stuff that was damning evidence against them. And Liz Cheney, remember, was right up in the middle of it. Jamie Raskin, that lowlife, he was in the middle of it. Now, I try to keep things simple. Now, people will say that it's not simplicity, it's being judgmental. And I don't care. I don't care what they say. I keep it simple. In this day and age, if a Democrat who makes a living by being a Democrat, they don't have to be in elected office. They could be in the media. They could be a staffer. They could be anything. That's why I call them professional Democrats. Their livelihood depends on their being a Democrat. If a professional Democrat says something, it's a lie. If a professional Democrat says something that they think is wrong, or they criticize something about the country or about the good people, which would be the other side, then it is not good for America, because the Democrats of today, the professional Democrats of today, are out to do as much harm to the United States of America as possible. And yes, that means blood in the streets if it's necessary. That means shutting down airport security. That means taking a risk of terrorist attacks. That means whatever the professional Democrats set out to do, it is bad for America. And there's no, for me, there's no hearing what they've got to say to plead their case against that, because it doesn't matter to me. Because the proof is in the pudding, as the great philosopher Medea would say. The proof is in the pudding. And the pudding shows that Democrats are out to destroy America by any means necessary. It, it really shows how it can affect people and how it can turn somebody evil when they're nothing but nerds, and they've been treated like nerds their whole lives. And they feel like nobody respects them because they're just a bunch of nothing happening loser nerds. So they get in these groups like a cult, and it makes them feel like they have purpose. And it also makes them feel like they're tough, so they can do all these evil things. So it's pretty simple. You should live your life by that motto. If a professional Democrat says something, it's a lie. If a professional Democrat wants to do something and thinks that the country should move in this area or that area, it's strictly because they want to do what's worse for America. Always worst case scenario. You cannot trust them at all. That's why I don't believe in bipartisanship. There's no bipartisanship with professional commucrats. You might as well try to go and ask the leadership in Iran what they think is best for America. And I'm serious. That's not hyperbole. I'm as serious as I can be because I've got the challenge out there. I throw it out there all the time. Nobody has been able to accept the challenge and prove me wrong by telling me and proving that the Democrats have a project they want to happen politically that would be good for America. Nobody's ever been able to name that thing. That thing. Can't do it because it doesn't exist. Hang on, second hour, coming up next.
He's America's coolest conservative and the future king of talk radio. 107.9 FM WBT presents The TJ Ritchie Show.
1, 2, 3, go.
Oh, yes. Welcome to Hour 2, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. All right, 704-570-1079. That is the number. A lot of people are using that. A lot of people are using it. So I feel that it is time once again for me to explain how I look at things when it comes to dealing with brain-dead liberals. All right? So all you liberals that are trying to get through, trying to get me to read your messages, trying to get me to put you on so you can argue with me and you think you're so smart and smug and that you'll put me in my place and all of that. Here's the thing. I don't care what you think. I don't care if you think I'm stupid. I don't care if you want to get on and tell me off. You're not going to be fed attention on my show because I don't even want to be bothered by liberals. I'm not going to argue with you because I just don't feel like dealing with you. That's how much I am over you liberals and the way that you've infiltrated the goodness of what this country is supposed to be. You make me sick. I mean, you really do. Now, that's not to say that some liberals can't be nice and we can get along if we talk about other things and all that. I have liberals that I get along with, that I hang out with and all that. But when you're calling or texting and you're just trying to argue with me to be arguing, then I'm not doing it. Because I don't care what you think. I really, really don't. Because again, let me say this again. If you are, now I'm not talking about professional Democrats. Those are the ones that I have to stipulate the difference between a professional Democrat, you know, the politicians, their staffers, the writers, the media people, all of those people who are professional Democrats. Is not the same as Democrat voters, okay? So in order to be a Democrat in the day and age of 2026, you either have to be shady, crooked, and a liar, anti-American, or you are gullible and naive. If you're gullible and naive, then you can still be lovable. If you're not, if you're the smug, dishonest, shady, lying side of the Democrats, then I don't even want to talk to you. I don't even want to deal with you. You know why? Because it's beneath me. How about that? Does that make you feel good? It's beneath me. It's really not beneath me. I'm just trying to aggravate you now, but I just don't want to deal with you. I am 56 years old. And I've reached a stage in my life, if there's some people I don't want to deal with, I don't deal with them. I'm not afraid to lose in an argument. And they always love to say that, oh, you're afraid to you lose, you're afraid to debate. No, I have a fun show going. And I don't want to be brought down by idiocy. I just don't. Now, you can try to get through to talk to me, and when you don't, then you can go and start texting. And listen, I know the ones who try to get on everybody else's show on the radio station. I know things you don't know that I know. And if you're that type where you're just looking to get on the radio, the best thing I can do is to not let you. Because I'm not going to change your mind. You're not going to change my mind, that's for sure. So the only reason that I would waste my time is if I feel like just getting bothered by something, or if I want to use your argument as fodder, and I have to be in a special mood for that, because there's no way you're going to say anything that's going to make me stop and go, well, you know what? You got a good point there. I'm not like that. I said from the beginning, I am not an intellectual that's going to sit here and counterpoint with some liberals. I'm not. Because I don't care. Think what you want to think about me. I don't care. I'm sorry if that upsets you, but this is my show. I appreciate you listening, though. I do. But I say that as a, it's like you always got to say, hey, thanks for listening anyway. But really, what am I saying thanks for? Thanks for listening and then trying to insult me? And then when I don't take the bait, then you get mad, even more? Then you're all offended when I say I don't care what you think. You're not supposed to say that to the listeners. Look, hey, in case you don't know, I have a just completely studded radio career. I've been in this business a long time, and I've been successful a long time. And I think I know what I want to deal with on the radio and what I don't. And I don't want to deal with liberals trying to be, prove some sort of a point that I'm wrong and you're right. Because if you're a liberal, then you're not right about anything. Trust me. And I'm not going to sit and try to convince you of that. And I mean it. I'm not just saying it to aggravate you, just to get a rise out of you. If you are a liberal, if you are a liberal, Democrat, leftist, whatever you want to call yourself, you are not right about anything. Nothing. And my days of being polite about that are over. Because the way you vote messes it up for everybody in this country. Seriously. Your vote makes America worse. How about that? Okay. That's all the time we have for this segment, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have more next.
TJ Ritchie on Charlotte's FM News Talk 107.9 FM WPT. Night has fallen and the green-eyed patriot is on the air. It's the TJ Ritchie Show on Charlotte's FM News Talk 107.9 FM WPT.
Yes, I am the green-eyed patriot, America's coolest conservative, and the most famous and legendary active radio personality in Charlotte. Oh, they mad now. You know, ladies and gentlemen, here's the thing. These smug liberals act like that they're just entitled for any Republican to have to argue with them whenever they decide they want to argue. And that's not the case. It's not. There's one he said, hey, I just have questions I want to ask you, and you act like you're too afraid to. You challenge people to come. I haven't challenged anybody to ask me anything. I just said name one thing that that the Democrats are for, the Democrat politicians really push for, that would be good for America. I didn't say you ask me anything. I didn't say that. But they get all bent out of shape when you tell them you just don't care what they think, and that you don't care that you're going to take the time to argue with them. Look, it's also different when I know the ones that try to get on everybody's show, try to get the attention. I'm gonna show them I'm smarter than every host on that radio station. I'll show them all. I don't play those games. I don't. That's just like I saw this story. I ran across it's a story from January of 2024. Let me find it, and it just so happens to be an example of what I'm talking about, and the way I think Republicans and conservatives need to deal with liberals more often. This is a study that was done and published January 29th of 2024 out of the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. And this extensive study was on cattle emissions and the impact on the environment. In other words, the methane farts that come out of cows, because the environmental nuts have made an issue out of that and gotten enough people to believe that our planet is in crisis because of cow farts, and that everybody needs to stop eating meat so there won't be any cows to be farting and messing up the climate. So you got a major university that does this extensive survey or study, and then they publish and I'm reading through this. I mean, and it is long. And the whole time I'm reading all this information they've come up with, which basically says that cow emissions are have basically a negative effect on the climate. But I look at that, and the whole time I'm thinking, why would you go through all of the trouble of doing this study and publishing it and getting the word out and all of this expense and everything else to find out about something that is so ridiculous that anybody with common sense knows that cows farting has nothing to do with the climate changing in the category of man-made climate change. These people who push all of this stuff are communists. They're anti-industrialists. They want to bring down the capitalist system and industry So they make up all of these things. And again, where are they? They're on the left, obviously. And when they first started all this crazy stuff, if we would have just, as Republicans, if we would have just laughed at them and said, get out of here, that's ridiculous, then we wouldn't have to deal with all of this stuff right now. But no, we pander to them and we listen and take them seriously, and then we study, and then we give them a voice and all of this stuff. And look, we end up with tampons in boys' bathrooms at school. We end up with people saying that all you got to do is say you're a woman and you're a woman. This is what it has led to, giving these people a voice and not just cutting them off and going, you're ridiculous, you're wrong, and I'm not even going to take the time to hear what you've got to say, that you think that cows farting is destroying our environment and we're not going to be able to live on the planet because of cow farts. Think about that. If we would have just shut them down in the beginning, because everybody knows that that's ridiculous. Anybody with a brain in their head knows that that's stupid. Just like everybody knows that the light bulb you use is not hurting the planet. Oh, no, we got to do all this other stuff. The incandescent light bulb. It was fine for many, 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 many years. Hell, we even have proof of fraud in this climate movement. Google East Anglia University climate fraud and see what you come up with. It's just ridiculous. And by treating these people seriously and sitting down and pretending, oh, well, I respect your opinion. And like, no. You don't always have to say you respect somebody's opinion. If it's stupid, you shouldn't respect it. You know you don't respect it. You just pretend like you do because you think that you're supposed to. Well, I don't do that anymore. If your opinion is dangerous for everybody else, then I don't respect it. And I really, truly know that there is not an opinion of anybody who is considered a leftist or a liberal that is good for anything. So this, as I'm getting mad as I read through this story, and I felt ridiculous. I'm getting mad at a story that was published in 2024 because I'm thinking about all of the unnecessary work and money that had to go into this study about cows farting and whether or not that's going to ruin the planet. I mean, can't you see how stupid it is? Can you stop and think about it? And, you know, I don't have to approach things from a perspective of a gentlemanly debate. I don't have to, because I don't care. I'm a real person, and I've figured them out. And I've also figured out that it makes me stupid if I waste my time pretending like what they say has any validity at all. It's like sitting and listening to the diatribes that celebrities go on at award shows and going, nodding along like, okay, yeah. When it's nothing but ridiculous psychobabble. And you look at them and in your mind, you know that they're just trashy, dysfunctional losers, intellectual losers, and you can sit there and act like what they're saying is important. No, I'm not doing it. Now, I'm not saying everybody that listens to this show that disagrees with me or whatever is a loser. I'm talking about that being the Hollywood celebrities and all. They're losers and trashy. But still, if you're approaching me with the, I'm going to prove you wrong, I want to ask you questions, that kind of thing, I don't want to do it. And trust me, it's not because I don't think I can hang with you in an argument. It's not that. I just don't want to be bothered with it. You do your thing. Find somebody else to argue with if that's what you get off on. See, I don't go around looking for people to argue with. Now, I wear my conservatism on my chest as a badge of honor. I do. But I don't pick arguments with people. If I hear somebody say something that's liberal and they're not talking to me, or even if I'm in the room, I don't say, well, now, wait a minute. You can't let that stand and blah, blah, blah. I don't do that. Hey, liberals can be talking all around me and I don't get in the middle of it. Say, well, I've got to shut that down. I don't care. I do not care. So, yes, climate change is ridiculous. Saying that cow farts hurt the environment, that's ridiculous. It's all communist propaganda. And I encourage you as a normal person, if you're a conservative, as a normal thinking person, that if you do come across people who actually are questioning something in this world of politics, they're not just trying to come at you like I'm right and I'm going to prove I'm right. If they're genuinely asking you, well, what about this and what about that? Take the time to explain it to them. If they are genuine and you think that there is a possibility to get them to see things the right way. But if they're just looking to argue with you and they're going to try to prove you wrong, if you're a conservative, just walk away. Say, all right, have a nice day. You're good. You're good. All right. I got to take a break. More coming up.
It's TJ, the Green-Eyed Patriot, on Charlotte's FM News Talk 107.9 WBT. 11 listeners strong and holding. It's the TJ Ritchie Show on 107.9 FM. Charlotte's FM News Talk WBT.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I just realized that my diatribe the last half hour is probably the absolute opposite of what a person is supposed to do if they want a successful conservative talk show. Yeah, because you're supposed to want to argue with people and have the drama and the fights and maybe if I would have started on this side of the business when I was younger, I would have felt like all that nonsense, but I don't. Oh well, I guess they'll let me know. All right, this is a nice text. It said, you just said a memorable phrase. Your vote makes everything worse. Great and so true. You keep it real, TJ. Yeah, that's what I said about liberals and Democrats in general. Your vote makes everything worse. And they didn't like that. The libs didn't like that. That's all right. That's all right. We're all friends here. No big deal. I have a little clip that I want to play for you because, you know, I've often said that, and it's true. I don't just say it. I mean, it's true that I know everything there is to know about women. And that's not, you know, like a misogynist things to say. It's not like I know all about women. I rule them and, you know, whatever. I know all there is to know about women because I pay attention. I'm very observant and I want to please women. You know, that's what men do. Starts out, you know, little boys want to please their moms, and they get married. They want to please their wives. It's built into us. But you get a heterosexual guy saying, I know everything there is to know about women, and then they take it the wrong way, like I'm, you know, some sort of a anti-woman person. But I'm not. And I've also said, as much as I despise the feminist movement of today and what it became, I am a big fan of the original feminists because what they wanted was noble. The original feminists, and I've said it many times, they just wanted to be treated equally and have opportunities the same as men. Nothing wrong with that. It's when they got hijacked by the ugly women, the radical feminists, that turned it all crazy. Now, there's a lady named Bettina Arndt, and she's British, and she is an original feminist. And she says that the same thing, that it was hijacked, and it became something that is detrimental to our culture. Listen.
I was a feminist when feminism was about equality, giving women an opportunity to find their rightful place, particularly in the public world, which was tremendously important and exciting when we achieved that. But what feminism today, to me, is all about advantaging women at the expense of men. And it's become very much caught up in the demonisation of males. I came across an article I wrote 40 years ago where we just started to notice how badly boys were doing vis-a-vis girls. What was becoming very obvious is there were also a lot of boys falling behind and not achieving their potential. We have really very much feminist ideology infiltrating all our education systems, systematic programs to continue to advantage girls, and no one taking any notice of the fact that boys are falling out in huge numbers.
So, in case you couldn't get all that with her accent and the weakness in her voice, she said that feminism changed from just being, you know, wanting equal opportunities to demonizing men, and that males became the enemy of the culture. And of course that's detrimental to society because you need men, you need strong men. Men built everything important in the beginning of this country, everything that made this country what it is. Men were there to build it. And just because it became time for women to be treated better doesn't mean that all men needed to be hated and demonized. But that's what happened when the ugly, bitter women joined the feminist movement. You see, they couldn't get a man like the original feminists who were still pretty and wanted to be women. You know, they had men, providers and good husbands and fathers. But this new line of feminists, they couldn't get a man because they're mean and bitter, ugly. So they said, well, we hate men now. And then they hijacked it. Now, I wasn't around during this time because I'm too young, but I've seen the movies and the documentaries and everything. And I also remember one of Rush Limbaugh's truths of life. Feminism was created as to allow unattractive women access to the mainstream. I believe is how that went. So, look at the relationships now between men and women. You can't just celebrate women. You got to celebrate women and put men down at the same time. Every television show, it used to be every TV commercial, the woman was the smart one that had the product that was better, and the man was just a goof. The husband, the father was an idiot or a goofball that was being treated the same as the kids and all that. Well, that's changed because they don't put white men in commercials anymore. It's too offensive. It's too offensive to have a white masculine man in a commercial at all. Especially those drug commercials, which you could look at, if you didn't know any better, you look at it as good news for white men. You go, hey, white men don't get sick anymore. White men don't get diseases anymore that need medication. Because they don't show any of them in these commercials using the medical products. So you see, it all just attacks one group and then another and then another and then another, to always keep us fighting amongst each other, to not get along. That's what the communist movement is about, to keep us all in disarray. I dated a girl named Disarray one time. She was not a feminist, meaning she was attractive. Okay, got to take a break. Hang on, more coming up.
TJ, the realist Ritchie, on 107.9 WPT, Charlotte's FM News Talk. If you're an emotionally fragile liberal and would like to complain to WPT management about TJ, don't waste your time. They don't like him much either. Back to the TJ Ritchie Show on 107.9 FM WPT, Charlotte's FM News Talk.
Hello. Ramming, jamming, slamming on the air everywhere. The green-eyed patriot, America's coolest conservative. 704-570-1079. It's our last segment here. Don't know that I'll have time to get to any more texts in this segment. I mainly just say that to give Lonnie Ray the cue to fade the music down without having to say, Lonnie Ray, fade the music down. Keeping it real, man. Keeping it real. I'm the realist. That's what I am, the realist. Okay, Senator Cory Booker, the effeminate drama theater kid. Cory Booker at an airport today talking about ICE agents helping TSA with security at the airport. Listen to this.
And so what's happening today in America that should outrage everybody? Oh. He's taking this very same agency that has been bursting into our schools, into our churches, into our hospitals, into our courts, and even into the homes of Americans. He's taking that agency that is reckless and out of control and bringing them to our airports under the lie that somehow this is going to help deal with the long lines that he created in the first place. This is an outrage. We should not have an agency that America doesn't trust, an agency that literally has seen violence against Americans, an agency that is tearing away American families, tearing apart American families, and arresting and detaining Americans, and violating due process rights and civil rights.
What a liar. Okay, but here's part 2 of the little segment here.
And so what's happening today in America?
That was part 1. Here's part 2.
Finally, we can take a deep breath here. The numbers have dropped off. The lines are getting shorter. I think the average wait time now is under 40 minutes. So if you have a flight to catch today, it's a good time to come to Hartsfield-Jackson International.
So that's in Atlanta. While Cory Booker's going on and acting. That no, America doesn't trust this agency. That's a lie. They can't help. That's a lie. Wait times are down. So the wait times to go through security at the Atlanta airport, I believe it was like 4 hours. Now this guy was reporting it's 40 minutes. Since the arrival of Ice Baby. What a joke. Now, yesterday, I played the clips of they were saying that ICE agents are just going to be killing people in the airport. They are so invested, they being the commucrats, democrats, they are so invested in getting rid of any type of federal law enforcement that that gets illegal aliens in check and deports illegal aliens and gets them out of the country. They are so invested in tearing down that agency because they have to have those illegal aliens. They're all in. They have pushed every one of their chips to the middle of the table, and they're about to call because they've got to have those illegal aliens in this country to benefit them politically. And it doesn't matter if these illegal aliens are killing and maiming and raping, doing whatever else they do. Doesn't matter. Because the Democrats need them. They've put all of their balls in that one basket. Because they cheat. And why do they cheat? Because they're Democrats. And why are they Democrats? Because they cheat. And they have no morals or scruples when it comes to fair elections. They just don't. But this guy in Atlanta on the news, he was like, man, I got to report this. I don't want to because it makes ICE look good, makes Trump look good. But damn, I got to do it. Cory Booker. People also get mad at me for calling Charlotte the big dangerous city. And I didn't just start calling it that for no reason. The North Carolina Department of Transportation Secretary Daniel Johnson, some local officials and residents were scheduled to visit the areas along the uptown portion of I-77 Monday, March 23rd. It was canceled because Charlotte neighborhoods along the uptown portion of I-77 are too dangerous to tour, they said. So you see, I'm not crazy. You're crazy. And have this with Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut on with that lunatic Chris Hayes on what used to be MSNBC. It's called Ms. Now. Talking about the illegal aliens. See if you hear anything that stands out as being a little bit questionable here. What hits you in this statement? Listen.
Negotiation didn't have a path to citizenship. It was entirely on their terms in order to get Ukraine funding, right?
Well, I mean, Chris, that's been a failed play for 20 years. So you are right that has been the Democratic strategy for 30 years, maybe. And it has failed to deliver for the people we care about most, the undocumented Americans that are in this country.
Ruh-roh. What? The people we care about most, the undocumented Americans in this country. Okay. Well, first of all, there's no such thing as an undocumented American in this country. That doesn't exist. Second of all, they're not undocumented. They're illegal. Third of all, that's who you care about most? Senator Murphy. Now, I will say this. He is a scumbag, a lowlife with the devil in him, Chris Murphy, but I appreciate his honesty in that statement. At least he's honest, and he says that that's the most important group of people to the Democrat Party, which would be illegal aliens. That's what he said, and I applaud the honesty. Listen again.
Negotiation didn't have a path to citizenship. It was entirely on their terms in order to get Ukraine funding, right?
Well, I mean, Chris, that's been a failed play for 20 years. So you are right that has been the Democratic strategy for 30 years, maybe. And it has failed to deliver for the people we care about most, the undocumented Americans that are in this country.
Okay, so it sounds like, though, he was being honest. He slipped. Because he said who we care about the most, which is the undocumented Americans in this country. So maybe he wasn't being honest. Darn it. But they're not trying to get illegal aliens to vote. Why would you think that? I mean, so paranoid. Why would anybody think that? I'm not thinking that. You're thinking that. I don't know why. So the great Nick Craig is coming up next. He's got a good show. You should listen to it. I got to go. God loves you, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.